Can you believe the round beach towel wasn't a thing until like 6 years ago? Like, how did that not get invented decades ago? Well, stop scratching your head because you're about to meet the creator of the round beach towel who's already sold 120,000 of them. She calls them the roundie. It's a very beachy episode 464 of the award-winning Small Business Big Marketing Show, thanks to American Express.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back to your weekly dose of marketing opulence. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You, infinitely more importantly, are a motivated business owner who's ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. Today's episode 464, well, it's made possible thanks to the very good folk at American Express business cards, designed for business owners just like you. A little bit more about them and how they can help your business boom later. Big show today. We meet Victoria Beattie, who used to be a bank teller in a seaside village. Then her sister tapped her on the shoulder and said, "Hey Vic, let's produce a round beach towel." Vic said, "Hell yeah," and the rest is absolute history. Another highly motivated listener reminds us of the power of partnerships and as a result wins over $1,000 worth of prizes in this week's Monster Prize Draw. And I tackle a listener's question all about trust. As per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I can't hear you.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Did someone say something?
Oh, yes, indeedly doodly. You know what that means? It's time for another business building tip to wow those wonderfully precious clients of yours, thanks to our great mates at American Express, whose business card programs also make the smart business owner go, wow. And as usual, all the way from the City of Angels, we're joined by our Chief Wow Officer, Steve Sims, who's also the best-selling author of Bluefishing, The Art of Making Things Happen. How are you, Simsy?
I'm lovely. Thank you for asking.
Mate, now, before you share your wow tip for this week, I am fascinated. You have got Sir Richard Branson coming up on your podcast. How did that happen?
Well, we've actually been part of Virgin for many years. We've supported the Virgin brand, Virgin Unite, the Casbah Foundation, which is Eve Branson, his mum's foundation. So we've done a lot with them and the charities around them. And we had an event going off in Canada that they actually asked us to get Sir Richard to come along to. So we reached out, we contacted him, and he agreed to come out. And I said to him, look, we've done a lot of things together, but we've never done a podcast. And the instant response was, well, I don't do podcasts. I said, well, that's just a challenge. You know, I've got to find a way of you saying yes. So, you know, talked it through and eventually agreed that he would do a podcast for me.
What did that conversation sound like? You don't do podcasts. I mean, I would take that as a no from Sir Richard. How did you turn him around?
I think a no really is just a gauntlet to see how good you are at getting a yes. So if you're easily swayed by a no, then I'm not sure you're an entrepreneur. But as entrepreneurs, we hear people say no. And really what they're doing is they're trying to say yes, but they're just asking us to give them permission to say yes. So, you know, when he said, I don't do podcasts, I was like, well, you know, that's just a past tense. That's just telling me something that you didn't do. Doesn't mean you're not going to do it in the future. You know, you wouldn't say, I'm never doing that in the future because, you know, entrepreneurs, we don't do that. So given that kind of permission, I said, look, there's always got to be an open. There's always got to be a possibility. There's always got to be a chance it's going to happen. Of which he said, yeah, there's a chance. Well, let's make that chance in June in Canada with me.
Now, your greatest challenge, Simsy, with Sir Richard is that he has been interviewed, probably one of the more interviewed people in the world. What are you going to ask him that's going to be any different to what he's already been asked?
I'm not. what I did yesterday, and you're right, it's one of those things where, although he hasn't done podcasts, you're right, he's not exactly been shy to the camera or to the microphone. Mm-hmm. So in which case you suddenly go, well, okay, I've got it now, but what can I ask that's scintillating, stimulating, different, that's actually going to drag a proper, not pre-scripted answer out of him? So I went on to my social feeds yesterday and I announced, look, if you could ask Richard Branson one question, what would it be? If I like it, I'll ask it. I may even give you a shout out during the podcast. So I think I'm probably at about 200 questions at the moment.
I loved. I think your first mate who responded to that question on your Facebook was, "Why on earth would he want to be interviewed by you?" Was the question. I love
Steve Olshley, yeah. I think that's probably got to be in there somewhere. But
I'd start with
that did actually make me laugh.
Now, buddy, we are here to help our wonderful listeners who are all business owners wow the precious clients that they have. What's your tip for this week?
Well, it's easy because when you actually get a client, and it may have come through a friend, it may have come through a referral, there's this often feeling in you that to actually turn around and go, hey, thank you. And you should have that reason there to say thank you for people giving you business. Even if someone's done something with you and you want to thank them by giving them a tip, never allow that tip to come in the form of a check. Have it come in the form of an experience. You see, here it goes. Someone gives you a client or someone does something for you that enables you to have a fantastic experience. You turn around and you go, oh, great, thanks a lot. Here's $500. And they go, thank you. And then they pay their car, they pay the school fees, they pay the electric bill. They pay a bill with it. In 6 months' time, you ask them, hey, do you remember I gave you $500? And they'll go, I think I do. What did you spend it on? And they're not going to remember. So instead of actually giving them $500, find out what kind of food they like, get a restaurant in the area that's supposed to be reputed as really good, and prepay for the meal. And then go, hey, I know you like Thai food. There's a new Thai food restaurant just down the road from you. I bought you a table for the night. Go in there, eat to your heart's content. It's all covered.
Oh,
now, here's
awesome.
Two things that's going to happen. One, you've created an experience because you show you've listened and you care about them. But you know the funny thing that's going to benefit your pocket? That meal's probably going to end up costing you maybe half of what the $500 was.
Yes, correct. And
but they will never forget.
And the thing, too, is that we live in an experience economy. I mean, look at you with Bluefish. You've been providing experiences for however many years. And
20 plus, yeah.
20 plus years. And the thing with an experience is they're emotional. And, emotional things sit with us for a very, very long time. So I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, they're going to trigger up. When they walk past a Thai restaurant and they smell some good Thai food, they're going to remember Simsy that sent them into that Thai restaurant and treated them for the night where they were treated well, they ate all they like, they stood up, walked out without even looking at the tab.
Love it. Now, Simsy, great tip. I forgot to ask you, when is that Branson interview going live? Because that's also a bit of wow in that. Is that like in a month's time? You got a date?
It is. It's June the 10th. We do the interview. We'll probably come out latter part of June on the podcast.
Awesome. And the podcast is called The Art of Making Things Happen. It's the second best podcast in the world. Well, there you go. Thanks to American.
I'll take that.
Thanks to American Express. That's another killer way to make your precious clients go, wow. In fact, I reckon there was two there. Don't take no for an answer and say thank you with an experience, not a check. To find out how Amex can add a little wow to your business, Google Amex Business after the show. Simsy, love your work. See you next time.
Bye.
Do you know, I've been selling a truckload of my book lately, The Boomerang Effect. Something's going on, which is a great thing for me and a great thing for those of you who are buying it. If you don't know what the Boomerang Effect is all about, it is when you are so helpful in your marketing that it returns multiples. And those multiples could be more warm inquiry, more sales, maybe more media coverage, more website traffic. You just don't know, but it's all about being helpful in your marketing. If you want a copy and the idea of generating warm leads through smart marketing interests you, then head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and click on the book tab. Right now, though, and much more importantly, let's meet Victoria Beattie, who, along with her big sister Emma, are the inventors of the round beach towel. Yes, you heard it right, the roundy, they call it. Now, before you go, who needs a round beach towel? Get this. The Beach People, that's their company, employs 22 staff, has offices in Australia and the US of A, manufactures in 8 countries, has over 600 stores carrying their products, of which there are now many, many products, and they have sold a whopping 120,000 round beach towels. Roundies. It's great. It's just such a great Australian story in the making. So pull up a bit of sand, lay down your towel. Don't get any sand on it. I hate when you get sand on your towel. And get ready to take notes as Victoria shares where the idea for the roundie came from, how they got it to market, how they broke into the US market, how they have broadened how and why they've broadened their range into homewares. I sort of question whether that was a good idea, but I think she may have proved me that it is, and so much more. Hey, and stay tuned after the interview as Victoria has kindly given us a 20% store-wide discount across all the Beach People's range for Small Business Big Marketing show listeners. I started off by asking her why it took so long for someone to invent the round beach towel.
That's a good question. I just think it's one of those things that was there but not there. And my sister is actually the one who I credit the idea to, and to know her is to know someone that thinks completely outside the box or the rectangle in this case. So I think Emma is just incredibly creative and just thinks differently to anyone else I know. So I think it just came to her one day.
But it just seems bizarre, doesn't it? I mean, to me, really, it seems like something that should have been invented, I don't know, at the start of the Industrial Revolution, if not before. Yeah. It's like, do you feel that?
Yes, there was definitely round beach towels in the 70s and 80s, so they were out there. But when we went to market, there wasn't a single company trading in the world with them. So I think they just hadn't been touched in maybe 10, 20 years.
Yeah, okay. I just had the idea, maybe I need to patent this before I share it. Oh, I'll throw caution to the wind. What's wrong with a square beach towel? It's kind of
We do them, Tim. We have them.
Don't. That was my idea.
And I can't believe it. After 4 years with the round towel, we actually started doing what we call a travel towel. We had some feedback that the round towel was quite heavy, and it is. It's 1.3 kilos, and when you put it in the wash, it's quite dominating. So we invented a lightweight but quick drying travel towel that's actually a square. So it doubles as a picnic blanket. You can take it on the plane as a throw, and then when you travel, it's your towel and it dries overnight quite easily in a hotel room. So we actually invented that one.
Really? So no one had invented the square beach towel?
No one had done it.
Okay.
I think smart product developers will see that we have secured every IP trademark that there is around all these textiles. So it's really restrictive for anyone else to come after us. But if there was one brand doing an Ovi, which is an oval towel instead of a roundie, but they obviously didn't last the summer.
Well, I'm going to do the triangular towel, and I'm going to contact Pink Floyd, and its first branding is going to be the Dark Side of the Moon. Surely no one's done that.
No one's done that.
Okay.
Oh, I do love that album.
I do too. Please don't steal that idea. You've got the round and the square. Just give me
the triangle.
I can have the triangle. And can I have the octagon? Because I think there's room for an octagon. Hey, I'm getting silly now. What about when the idea came to your sister? What were you two doing, and how did it come about?
So Emma, my sister, was on maternity leave with her firstborn, and she had a beautiful baby who slept well and was very content. And to be honest, she got a bit bored at home. So she was at home. I came over one day and she said that she had watched the entire season of the Kardashians and she'd painted her toenails. And I said, "Oh, sis, are you okay?"
Yeah, correct.
And so she was a stay-at-home mum, and I was working at the bank. Where we live is a very small rural town, and you kind of take whatever job you can get just to live here. So I can't say that banking was my passion, but I was very, very happy to live in the Northern Rivers, live close to home, across the border on daylight savings time. So that's why I sort of worked there. So both of us weren't really in our dream jobs or anything like that. So the allure of running our own business was very attractive.
And okay, so you're both slightly bored.
Yeah.
Is running a small business in your family tree, or is everyone?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
so
it is.
Both sides, everyone is in business in my family. My parents have run small business and done property development my entire life. I think my dad was taking me to the accountant from when I was 10, and so I knew how to read a P&L and a balance sheet all through high school. In fact, I used to report to my dad on those things. So it's not unusual at our family gatherings for those things to get passed around and handed out. So even though I'd never studied business, I had been in small business with my parents for my whole life, it feels. Mm-hmm. And my aunties, my grandma, everyone's in business, mostly retail, some hospitality and tourism and different things. So, yeah.
Vic, so Emma's painted her toenails, watched the entire season of the Kardashians. Is she then just throwing ideas at you, or was there really
a little bit?
Yeah.
So Emma's very creative. So all her ideas are based on what she enjoys sort of doing, and whereas I'm more numbers and figures based. So she came to me and said, I think I'm going to go to Bali and get 50 round towels made. Do you want to come with me to Bali? And I said, well, if you sell those 50, you'll probably cover your flights. What is this? Like, why don't we just go to Bali for a holiday? And she said, oh, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, if we want to do this and create an income, this is what it needs to look like. And it just it didn't go over her head at all, but it just wasn't what she was thinking. And I said, well, should we do an actual business? And we'd been in business together with our parents on and off over our lives. So we knew we worked well together, and we knew each other's strengths and weaknesses and knew our place if we were going to do it. But we also knew that if we did do it, it was going to be give it everything we got. Mm-hmm. So it took us a few months to really decide, and we even drew up like a legal contract just to protect our relationship, and then really went head first. And that was in the beginning of 2013 that we registered the name and started the company.
When you say you drew up a legal contract to protect your relationship between you and your sister?
Yeah.
What's that look like?
My parents recommended that, and they said, oh, well, just draw up what it looks like. So from the very beginning, we made sure we, to this day, we don't keep track of who does how many hours or anything like that. It's just an even split. And all those kinds of conversations we had early just to make sure the expectation was there. I mean, Emma's got more children than me, isn't always as available. But, we just decided from the beginning that it was an even split. We were going to carry the business equally and be available to the business, just whatever it took. And we had that all written up.
Clearly, you want to protect the relationship you have with your sibling. That's more important than any business you're going to start. How do you actually, outside of a contract in writing? I mean, there'd be times when you probably are working double the hours, or Emma's working. Does it balance out? There's sometimes you're looking out the side of your eye, going, "Em, I want to step it up."
There's been moments, but now that I'm on the mummy train, it's kind of all working itself out in the wash. But we. Just to be honest, we get along really, really well, mm-hmm. and we resolve any conflict very quickly. Like if we have an argument, which is rare, I don't think our staff have ever seen us argue, mm-hmm. But if we do have an argument, it's pretty quick and over. We don't really hold on to anything. So, and then it's done, and we don't bring it back up, and then you move on to the next day. And I think that's the biggest thing is if you are in a relationship in business, to have what I call like a short account. So if there is an issue, you just bring it up and just get it out. And often, I don't know, women aren't great at that. We often just say we're fine, but we're not. But my sister and I, exactly how each of us are feeling on the spot. We'll let each other know, and then we just move on.
That's awesome. So Emma's gone, I'm going to go to Bali, get 50 round towels designed and manufactured. Yeah. You said, well, why? That's just going to cover costs. Was it a bigger, did you go to Bali? Did you get a quantity of towels manufactured to start with?
Such a good question, Tim. We actually couldn't find anyone in the entire world that could produce a round towel.
Why?
So, yeah, Why? We ended up in China, and there was probably about 3 factories that had a screen printing press big enough to do a round towel that you could actually fit on at the beach. And our first price came back at $90 cost. So for us to retail it, it'd be up around the $3.90 or something crazy. And I thought no one's going to buy a towel for that. Mm-hmm. So we took a year to find someone to make us a towel. And I think the first order we placed was, I think, for 500 units.
Okay, just understanding that, Vic, so when you have an idea like that and you are going all over the world trying to find a manufacturer, I'm guessing that's what you're looking for. You guys have done the design. How do you protect this so that someone doesn't go, oh, we can't do it, and the next thing you know, they've done it?
Yeah, I think that I'm not sure. I'm sure there's better people to probably answer this, but I think I've been in product development for 6 years now, and we've produced maybe 30 to 40 brand new to market products. And what I notice about mainly in China, they're hesitant to try new things. So I don't think they want to be the people to test it. Mm-hmm. So I think you're pretty safe for like a year to 18 months.
You're very trusting then.
Yeah. That you cannot compete with intellectual property law in China. It just doesn't work. So you have to approach it that they will, it's nothing personal, but they will try and undercut you. They will try and sell your product under your nose. They will, it's kind of like if they do the dodgy and get away with it, they've had that's success to them. They're corrupt, they lie. They just lie to you. But it's just, you've got to be prepared to handle that if you want to produce product in China.
Hello to all my Chinese listeners. Lao Shizao, that's all I know in China is hello.
It's just not it's not personal. You got to take it like that.
Okay, but but you, because I do get a lot of people approach me saying, look, I've got an idea I really want to share with you. Would you sign this non-disclosure agreement that goes for about 800 pages? And I'm like, no, I can't really sign that because I'm not going to read it. And it's like, so there is a lot of hesitation with people with ideas. And your advice, it sounds like, is you've just got to go for it? Yeah,
a little bit.
First to market?
We actually had, we've had designs leaked before we've even had final samples. So, we did a collaboration with Ace Hotel in America, and I found the towel on eBay before I had the towel. So I just don't let it get to me, and I just keep going. And I think as you build momentum as a brand, people are always going to see you as the authentic original. But it's such a tricky topic. There's so many different scenarios that could outplay, and I think for your own well-being, you have to be prepared for all of them. Yeah. You have to be prepared that you might never get your stock you paid for. Like, that's happened to us before. You have to be prepared that after a second order, the entire order might be faulty because they've tried to pull a Swiftie and switch your cotton quality or something like that. That's happened to us before. Every single thing that could possibly happen in product development has happened to us.
In China.
And I think you just need to, like, no amount of legal documents is going to help you when the realities of that happen. Like, you can go and get all the non-disclosures signed in the world, but when it happens, that's not going to help you because there's different laws over there. So it can cover you in Australia, but it won't cover you in China.
And yet China is the best place to have stuff manufactured like round towels.
Yeah, you couldn't get them made anywhere else.
Okay.
You could, but they'd be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars and no one would buy them, so you wouldn't want to. But we actually manufacture in I have a really great relationship with all of our manufacturers. It's just tricky. Like, you've got to constantly just QC and have someone you trust on the ground there just monitoring it.
So
things happen.
You get 500 made. In your first batch, what do you do with them? Have you got a website? Have you got a shop? Have you got a wholesaler?
We actually started on Instagram in the golden era of Instagram when it was so easy to reach people. So we innocently started an Instagram of just lifestyle imagery and a few of our products. My sister ran it, and I think when the stock was about a month away, we went to pre-order. We said, if anyone wants one of these, they're coming in a month, and we sold out of most of that first drop in 2 weeks. It blew our minds because I had, obviously being a numbers girl, I'd run like a break-even analysis and a risk analysis, and I said to Emma, worst case, this is what we're going to lose. I'd covered it all, and then we sold out, and then it was on. So it's 18 months of being on pre-order, and people were waiting like 6 weeks for their towel to receive it, and we were just getting as much made as we could and trying to finance it because growth is really hard to finance.
How did you finance it?
My parents.
Oh, bless them.
But I paid them back.
Good on them.
So I think I borrowed $60,000 from them in that first year and paid them back that summer. And since then, we've done 2 rounds of capital raising.
If your parents hadn't have given you the dough, what would you have done?
Well, no banks would look at us. We didn't even have one P&L under our belt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fortunate to have friends in business all around me with a bit of cash, so I probably would have asked someone.
Or crowdfunded?
Yeah. I actually, at the time, I didn't even think about crowdfunding. I don't think, it was 7 years ago now, I don't think it was as easy as it is now.
No, not as prolific or as well accepted as it is now.
But we could have probably crowdfunded from our audience because people were willing to pay and wait for the stock. So it was just that exponential growth. My first order was like 25,000, and within 6 months my PO was up to 250,000, and I just couldn't. I just was working out of my spare room, and I just couldn't comprehend those figures. It was really overwhelming.
Tell me about the feeling you have. Can you cast yourself back to those days? Was it scary? Was it exciting? Was it nerve-wracking?
Just adrenaline pumping every day. It was a lot for my little body to handle. We were so strapped for cash. I was actually driving. I got a truck license, and I used to go up to the port in Brisbane and get our stock in a truck myself and unload the container at port. I don't think I'd seen anything like it. And so I was literally up, and I was still working because I couldn't afford a salary. So I was still working at a cafe at this time. And
what happened to the bank?
They wouldn't give me no. I was opening a cafe at 5 a.m, finishing at 1 p.m, and then working in my business till nighttime.
Right.
And that way I could, pay rent. And it was just a lot, and sort of running it all myself, because in hindsight I should have hired some staff and got some cash and supported the growth, but at the time I was just nervous. I saved up 6 months of wages before I hired that first person. I wanted to be able to confident to say I could pay them. So now I'm a little more comfortable at my desk and a little more comfortable in my skin, and
I'm guessing
I just didn't expect it to last. I was like, is this going to last?
Really? Really? You just thought this is, people are loving it right now, but it's not something that this is going to be an ongoing business. You really felt like that?
Yeah. Up until maybe 4 years ago, my sister and I, every time we released something, we were nervous, are people going to like it? Mm-hmm. And now we've realised that they love it and they love the things we produce. So there's more confidence. And we research and we find out what's on the market and what gaps we can fill. But yeah, it's nerve-wracking being a trend luxury-based product. I mean, people don't have to buy our things. They choose to because they think it's going they feel it's going to enhance their beach experiences and things like that. But, we're not bread and butter. We're luxury items. So it is nerve-wracking.
Speaking of nerve-wracking, at what point, Vic, did the copycats come along? I imagine it wouldn't have been too long.
That was our second summer. They caught up, and it was wild. We had up to 80 brands at any one time on our watch list that our IP attorney was watching and in legal discussions with. It was brutal. We got absolutely hammered.
Oh, what do you do? Do you lose sleep, or do you just let the attorney do it? I mean, having a legal attorney watching 80 brands is not cheap.
No, it was very, very, very expensive. And even securing all of our intellectual property was very expensive because you can't fight them unless you can prove the IP. So, it was like mid six figures that financial year between our IP bills and our legal bills. But a lot of those brands just didn't last because they were imitators, and imitators don't often last. But it was the big ones, like the big brands, that I had friends that worked at other brands telling me, oh, your entire product range was on the boardroom table today getting pulled apart, and they've put together a strategy to knock you out of the market. Oh, that's comforting. When I've got 3 staff and I'm working out of my shed. But I think we realised that they didn't know what we're going to do next. Mm-hmm. So we had to just look forward. And I got someone in our office to handle the admin side of the legal, so I didn't actually see it. Unless friends told me, which happened a lot too, but I had to remove myself because I was getting a bit too upset by it.
How's your cash flow management going? It's certainly not my strong suit. For the first few years of business, I thought my accountant told me to spend more than I earned. Got that wrong, didn't I? Fortunately, American Express business cards are built specifically with business owners just like you and I in mind. Their cards can be used to pay for everyday business purchases, helping you manage your business's cash flow whilst earning rewards along the way. Both their credit and charge cards provide up to 51 days interest-free, reward points that you can convert to travel, gift cards, or pay down the balance on your card. Plus, some of their cards are tailored for you to earn Qantas or Virgin Australia points directly. Gotta love that. We all need a bit of a holiday, I reckon. To find out more and get your cash flow under control, Google Amex Business after the show. We're chatting with Victoria Beattie, who is the co-inventor of the round beach towel, which was only invented in 2013. Figure that out. Vic, you've come a long way. Could you scope the business for us? Give a sense of where the business is at right now. Can you talk turnover, SKUs, staff?
We've got about 12 staff here in Australia and about 5 to 10 overseas. And we have offices here on the Gold Coast, southern Gold Coast in Australia, and in Miami in Florida. And we're now manufacturing in about 8 countries, so Portugal, Turkey, India, China, Guatemala. And we have about 600 beautiful stores all around the world that carry our collection, including some amazing career highlights like Selfridges and Bergdorf Goodmans and Net-a-Porter. What else? I think we've sold just over 120,000 round towels to date, which was incredible. So that's where our business is at the moment. And we're comfortable. We're just in our skin. We know who we are, and we're just happy producing product, which is the highlight for me.
I'm in awe. Just looked at my producer, Jamie, and was just like shaking our head. You just reeled that off. 12 staff here, 10 overseas, office in Miami, Gold Coast, 600 stores carrying your product, 120,000 towels sold. That is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
That is awesome. If I had like a button that I could push to play like a stadium crowd, roaring as Coldplay came out on stage, I'd play it.
The story always sounds sweeter, like in one sentence, than it does over 6 years.
I know.
The reality is just a lot of bills and emails. But when you look back at the journey, it's pretty incredible. It's nice actually to discuss it because it doesn't get. We need to celebrate it more.
I think you do.
The day-to-day sometimes is a little less exciting, a little less crowd roaring.
Us small business owners are really poor celebrators. I don't know about you. I mean, you've worked in a bank, you've worked in a branch. I've worked in corporate. I mean, if, a courier arrived on time, there'd be a reason to celebrate something in a large business. They just look for celebration. Small business owners, we just get on with it. So have you ever actually stopped with Emma and the team and had a big do?
We do now. So every time a launch happens, we do stop and have we pop champagne when the container arrives and those kinds of things. Emma and I personally, I'm looking forward to that day where we do actually do something quite extravagant, like a holiday or something. One of our investors and Emma and I said that we're going to go celebrate New Year's Eve overseas one year when we hit a certain turnover. So
right.
That's on the cards.
Vic, you said you're manufacturing now in 8 countries.
Yeah,
so you've moved on from China.
We have, yeah.
Right.
We've learned a lot. I am not anti-manufacturing in China at all because a lot of the brands that I respect the most still manufacture there, and we will probably always have a foot there. But a whole bunch of scenarios. So the trade agreement between the US and China has put a huge dent in our relationship with them. So we now try and source most of our cotton and textiles from South America if we can. But then there's tricky things with that because they've sort of been making the same product for generations and we're an innovative brand. So, we go wherever the product is best. So for our linen, it's French grown but made in India. For our Turkish towels, they're in Turkey or Portugal. So we sort of go wherever we can get the best quality for what they produce. And often that is China.
Now, I'm a simple marketing man, Victoria Beattie, so you'll have to excuse this next question.
No?
I'm on your website, thebeachpeople.com.au. The round towel doesn't feature significantly. In fact, it doesn't feature. Yeah, it doesn't feature significantly. You're now into home, bedding, bath, candles, laundry bags, denim, duvets, Why did you decide to go broad and be across all that huge category, which I imagine is incredibly competitive, versus deep, which is we are the beach people. We will make your time at the beach the coolest, most comfortable thing you could possibly imagine. Why did you not go that way?
Well, there's two reasons. It's winter here, and we needed some trans-seasonal product. That's the logical reason. But the dreamier reason is that Emma and I have always loved home interiors and travel. And so we realised early on that so did our audience. So our three major areas are travel, home interiors, and beach lifestyle. So we use those three core messaging and three lifestyle categories, so to speak, to produce our product. And we had a really beautiful relationship with quite a few suppliers in textiles. So we were like, what other textiles can we do and provide our aesthetic all year round for our audience? And I think our first product was linen bedding, and it just went off. So we were like, okay, we've hit a sweet spot here. I think the best way I could describe it is, you know how the Hamptons style of home really is known throughout the world, but it's this small little town in northern New York.
Yes.
We want to be that for the world. We want the beach people's style to be touched on every category.
Got it.
And for people in central North America or in Osaka in Japan or in Paris actually have a touch of our product in their homes, even though they might only go to the beach twice a year.
So how would you describe, what does I get the Hamptons thing, it's a good analogy. What is the beach people style when people ask you?
We say it's understated luxury. So it's beautiful quality, has to be functional. So Emma and I are mums, and we're both actually quite outdoorsy and adventurous. So our product has to serve a purpose and have a good functionality to it. But then the understated luxury is probably how we best describe it. Mm-hmm. We're not flashy.
No.
But our product is quality and it's beautiful, and you know it's going to last forever.
So where does that leave the round towel? Does it it got you where you are? Is it still always going to be your flagship item?
Absolutely. So it's always going to be at the core of our product. So it is on our AU site at the moment, but if you went to our US site, it's front and center. So their Memorial Day is in 2 days, and it's tomorrow, and that is the start of US summer over there. So all of our towels are front and center, and our marketing over there at the moment.
I'm just loading. Is it thebeachpeople.com?
It's thebeachpeopleco.com.
The Beach People.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who? Out of interest, I'm always fascinated by the addresses the URLs people choose. Who had thebeachpeople.com?
Oh, I don't even want to talk about it.
Oh, come on.
Some guy called Bob.
Bob, if you're listening, sharpen up, buddy.
Bob, I'm sorry about the back and forward, mate. I rang Bob every day for a year about 5 years ago. I still didn't win him over. So he's just sitting on it.
He's just sitting on it. That is, how much did he want out of interest?
Oh, you don't want to know what I offered. But anyway,
gee,
it's fine.
That's annoying when people park those kind of domains. I'm at beachpeopleco.com. Not seeing any round towel. Not wanting to be picky, just trying to understand the kind of, I
wonder. So the La Plage roundie is our current roundie, and it's just second down. That's because we launched denim this week.
Got it.
Yeah, but we also found that there was the round towel is always going to be our core and will always be a part of our collection. But we did find that there was a lot of room. We wanted to dominate the entire beach towel market, and that required us releasing the travel towels, the beach towels, the logo pool towels. So we actually now have, I think, 5 or 6 core towels in our collection, and they range from $39 USD up to $99 USD, just so we have more variety for people that might want a round, heavy, thick beach towel.
Vic, you've got an office in Miami, which means you've broken into the US market. How'd you do that?
Our manufacturer is actually based there, and we had a really great relationship with him, and we needed a warehouse there. They had one. We needed some office space there, and they had one. So we're working together, and we actually have some desks there and our warehouse there, which is something like 3 times the size of our warehouse here now. So, yeah.
And how's the market going over there? Is it working for you?
It's great. Yeah, it's good. It's a slower on the uptake because in Australia we are such beach lovers, and so is California, Miami, even New Yorkers. But it's been a bit harder and slower to tap into. Not in the wholesale segment, but in the e-com. I think it's just really noisy over there and a bit of a different environment. But in saying that, our US business has overtaken our Australian one in size and volume.
Are you or Emma going to have to go and live there?
We haven't. I spent a lot of time there, and I go backwards and forwards. But no, neither of us have any desire to live there.
Really?
We live in paradise.
Yes.
I love where we live, and we're managing to make do with our team on the ground there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Tell me,
the time zones aren't fun though.
The what?
But the time zones aren't fun. So I'm up and online by 5:30 most mornings just to get some crossover time with my US team on the East Coast, and so that's a little challenging. But oh well.
That's life. That's life in the round towel world. Sounds like you're getting. Sounds like your work-life balance is pretty good. Before we started recording, you were telling me about that. You and I are both. Oh, well, you're a creek swimmer. I'm an ocean swimmer, and I love the fact you're saying, if you don't mind me sharing, that you swim with your little 3-year-old fellow on your back across this beautiful creek near where you live. I think that's awesome. So clearly, work-life balance really important to you.
It is. It always has been too. I think we had seen our family and my parents really work so incredibly hard their whole lives, and to be honest, later in life have a few little not regrets, but just been like, had I done it again, I might have spent more time earlier doing the things I really wanted to do. And so Emma and I, classic Gen Y, we very much switch off on weekends and evenings, and when I do take a holiday, I take 4 weeks a year in 2 lots. I actually go completely offline.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Non-contactable.
Yeah. The business is only ever getting busier. So I think that idea of thinking one day I'll, switch off my phone at 5 p.m. One day I'll take Sundays off or it just doesn't, it's never going to be handed to you. You have to make it work.
Yeah, there is a beautiful blog post, a very popular blog post written by a nurse who worked with dying people. What's that called? I was going to say paleo, but that is not paleo. But anyway, you know what I mean. And she said she wrote a blog post called "The 5 Wishes of the Dying," and one of them was because she's worked with so many that none of them wish they'd worked more. So. Yeah, take it while
absolutely.
it's there.
And I love what I do. So I wake up with a spring in my step, excited to come into my office. So for me, I really have to watch myself and make sure I'm spending time with my husband. Spending time with my son is easy, and I actually miss him when he goes to care. But it's often the extended family and the husband that in this baby land gets put on the back foot. But yeah, I just make sure we have time together. We still do the things we love.
We got another one coming.
Yes, 7 weeks to go.
Good on you. Tell me, let's get back to these the beach people. I want to talk marketing. This is the Small Business Big Marketing Show, and I am interested, what role does marketing play in the beach people business, and what is the most successful marketing you do to attract and retain customers?
Oh, great question. So happy to share about this. We're learning, so we're not experts. Emma and I don't have a background in marketing, but we do we actually have developed a really strong brand, and unknown to us, we didn't realize how much we knew about that before we started the business. But really practical. We actually didn't spend $1 on marketing for the first 4 years of the business. What? We innocently just had an authentic, natural growth, word of mouth and sharing. So, but in the last 2 years, seeing a lot of changes in Instagram and Facebook, we had to get with the program. And so the areas that we have the most success in, number one would be our email list. So we have a growing audience on there, and that is our best form of communication with our audience. So my number one tip to anyone starting an e-commerce store would be to start gathering your customers and collecting their details as best you can from the get-go, and to respect them. So to make sure what you're sending them is beautiful, it is reflective of the brand, and it is authentic to the brand. There's a reason why every single person chose to sign up or to follow us. And so we have to make sure we're providing them with more of what they wanted in the beginning. So that's our best form of communication and return on investment in terms of marketing. And then all our social platforms are number 2. So, we actually do now put some budget towards digital marketing. We never wanted to. You know how when you hop on someone's website and then you hop off and then that product follows you wherever you go? I actually found that quite irritating as a consumer. And I never wanted to do that to my followers. And then when we started doing it, I realized it worked. So I went, okay, we'll keep that going. And then the third form would just be our ambassadors now influencer program, which is for us been really beautiful and authentic from the very beginning. We've had a beautiful range of people, interior designers, stylists, photographers, some models, all share about our product, and now we have that's a big part of our business.
Has that not taken a hit? Is there like 2-3 years ago, I remember interviewing Jules Lund on this show, who'd started Tribe, and at the time he was onto something. It may well still be in that he was connecting brands with influencers. Is there not a skepticism out there these days that everyone's an influencer and everyone's, hashtagging this?
There is.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think people see through it very quickly. So we are very, very cautious with who we don't actually pay for these things. It's more of a relationship we have with a small group of women who have a really engaged audience. And there's a couple of men, stylists. But we actually, because my sister and I are online a lot and we personally run the profiles, we know what is real to us. I've seen big brands absolutely hammer this, and but it does work, but it's not my style. So what we do is probably a little more subtle and authentic and real. And I say to everyone that works with us, like, if you're not using the product, don't share it. Like, I want you to share it if you are using it and if it is something you're enjoying using. And so recently with our picnic basket, we did a picnic basket that had a cheese board lid, and it just went viral. It went crazy. We sold out in the first 2 weeks, and it was one of those products we hit the nail on the head again. Mm-hmm. And the sharing around that was just so easy because everyone was using it. They were using it every weekend, all weekend, and were loving it. So they wanted to share about it.
Just back to the influencers, how do you give value to an influencer if you're not paying them?
We use a thing called, I always get the wording wrong, affiliated marketing. Mm-hmm. So they get a percentage of all sales that they generate through a unique URL in their profile. Got it. So they're incredible. These women are like running little wholesale businesses online pretty much without having to carry the stock.
Love it.
So they, the good ones are basically people follow them to shop and see what they're doing, and it's very easy to shop through their platforms. So I think they get about between 9 and 12% of the sale.
Nice.
So there's no risk for us because if they don't sell, we don't have to pay. But it's wonderful for them because I feel like for the first time, influencers are getting properly rewarded because it's really, really, really hard to take beautiful imagery. So for us to get 1 or 2 photos to share, it takes all day.
Really?
To actually, to get those money shots that go viral and get shared and get likes, it's actually really time consuming. And so these women that are doing it, especially the ones that have kids and families, I feel like they do deserve compensation. Like it's not like they're just having coffee and snapping what they're eating, but what actually goes on behind the scenes.
I was going to then ask you about how you're making social work, because for many small business owners, they all get on Facebook and Insta and LinkedIn, Twitter. It doesn't mean it's going to be successful. You've got an interesting product. You spend a lot of time on the photography, and you create very shareable images that people want to get around. Right? That's how.
Yes.
And with email, you're saying, and I totally agree with you, getting the details up front so that you can then have an ongoing conversation with your prospects and customers that is respectful. What does a great email from the beach people look like?
We have, I mentioned before, our areas Emma and I naturally enjoy discussing and talking about, and that's travel, home interiors, and beach lifestyle. So Emma actually grew up on a yacht living in the Pacific with my parents before I was born. So they very much, we are ocean girls. And so I love sharing that with our audience. So we try to stick to our email marketing being product releases and content, which covers those categories. So whether we interview someone who just renovated their home, or we talk about our favorite beaches, or how to take your baby to the beach, or what we have in our beach kits at the moment, just things like that. And then the rest would be like a sales promotion. Mm-hmm. So we try to keep the sales pushy promotional side small. The conversation about what we love large, and also our product launches. You'll see from us when we launch a product all the things we love about that product.
Awesome. That all makes sense. Good quality content. I mean, I think there's a lot of small business owners out there, again, who thinks, email marketing's dead. We all get spammed with email. But it's like anything. If you make it great and make it something people really can't wait to get next time, then it doesn't matter how many emails you're sending. It's quality.
Yeah, and people don't have to follow us. It's quite easy to unsubscribe if you don't want it in your inbox. I personally probably get about 20 to 30 a day, and I probably open 3 or 4 consistently because the brand, somehow they got me. I don't know what it is, but they got me, and that's the people we want. We want the people that, get us and want to see us.
Vic, I don't normally ask this because I think 5 years is such a long time into the future, but you're a numbers girl. I think you got your head around it. What does the Beach People look like in 5 years' time in 2024?
Let me just pull open my budget. No,
no doubt.
I have a 5-year plan, Tim, so it's fine. I'll talk about the fun stuff. So the product development. In the next year, we're releasing our first collection of skincare. So that's our first licensing deal. So we are working with a pharmacist and manufacturer in the US, but it's taken us 4 years. So we have been developing a sunscreen for 4 years. And then we almost got to the end, and then we realised we're partnering with the Great Barrier Reef, and I didn't realise that the number 2 cause of reef bleaching is sunscreen. So I had to make my sunscreen reef approved, and we're there now. And it's great timing because Hawaii just banned non-reef approved sunscreen from being sold on their land. So our sunscreen is reef approved. That launches next US summer. We're also doing a collection of hats for the first time, resort wear, and beach bags. So that is all happening in the next year. From there, our product development plan is moving more into home and home textiles, into the kitchen, because Emma and I love cooking. So we're going to be moving into the kitchen, and then we want to touch on some larger items, so outdoor settings, poolside settings. But yeah, it just all takes time. So that's sort of over the next year to 3 years of product development.
Yeah, so a pretty quiet 5 years ahead. Step it up, Vic. It's such a great story. I'm really honoured to be sharing it. Thank you so much for making the time. It's a great Aussie business story, literally with the product. 2 sisters from a coastal town in New South Wales. It's got everything. It's a film. It's a film in the making.
Thanks, Tim. It's nice to hear.
Wish you all the best for the 5 years ahead, and for your little fella, or girl or boy, I don't know.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise. So 7 years, 7 weeks. Good on you, Vic. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Oh, that is such a great story. Can we all have a business like the Beach People, please? Wouldn't that be awesome? Hey, Victoria has kindly made available a 20% discount across the entire Beach People range. Just head over to thebeachpeople.com.au if you're in Australia, or if you're in the United States of America, head over to thebeachpeopleco.com and use the discount code, you ready? TimReid20 up on checkout. That's TIM REID and the number 20. All together, no spaces, all lowercase. You're welcome. Now, thanks to American Express, here's what grabbed my attention from our chat with Victoria Beattie of the Beach People. Attention grabber number 1. The story of how Victoria got a truck licence so she could drive to the docks and pick up her stock is such a great reminder of just how passionate and motivated and a little cray-cray us small business owners are. I love hearing those little stories. Michael Klim, Olympic swimmer Michael Klim, when I interviewed him on this show many years ago, talks about driving stock of his Milk product range. It's his skincare range called Milk, Klim spelled backwards. Driving it and dropping it off at Myers and David Jones and pharmacies. Love it. Roll the sleeves up. Doesn't matter who you are. Tension grabber number 2. I love how Victoria doesn't have a background in marketing, but has such a strong passion for it. Now, if you're not enjoying your marketing, then hand it off to someone who does. Or listen to the entire back catalogue of this show, of which there are 464 episodes and counting. But I'm guessing you probably love marketing if you're listening to this show. Well, hang on, does that work? Yeah. Or maybe you don't like marketing, that's why you listen to it. Either way, it's so important. You know that. It's like the backbone. It's the oxygen of business, along with cash flow. Attention grabber number 3. I love the fact that the girls have a watch list with 80 brands on it who may potentially steal their ideas. Yeah, look, good on them. They don't spend, they don't wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat thinking about the list. Good to have it. I remember that UK jeweller we interviewed a few weeks ago who's got 30 other jewellers in the street in which he operates. He doesn't give a damn about his competition. 2 schools of thought, but good on them for having that watch list. That's what grabbed my attention. Love to know what grabbed yours. Maybe you got a comment about the show. I don't know. Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/464 and let me know.
Come on down. It's Timbo's Monster Prize Draw.
Oh, yes, indeedly doodly. It is that time of the episode where we reward another motivated listener, maybe you, for taking action. It can only be you if you've written in. I'll explain that later. Today's winner is Dan McQuillan of Kolosh, a prestige real estate agent on the Gold Coast. Hope I'm saying that correctly. Kollosche. Hey, Dan, love your work. Here's what Dan has done. Here's the ideas that Dan has implemented in order to win this segment this week. He says, hey, Timbo, my name is Dan. I know that. And I'm the marketing manager for a luxury real estate agency based in Queensland. Whilst I can't remember the exact episode that inspired it, I wanted to share something that we have been doing. We have a business unit that looks after the marketing collateral for our properties, comprising a videographer, graphic designer, a copywriter, social media manager, trainer, and photographer. That's an awesome business unit. I'd like one of those too. We have started an initiative to provide a package comprising of videos, photos, copywriting, social media training, design services, etc. to other businesses. All up, the cost to the businesses if they were to go out and engage a creative agency would be upwards of $5,000 to $10,000. Absolutely true. Probably more. Our staff are all on salaries, so during quiet times, this is at no extra expense to us. In exchange for these services, we would ask for something of value in return. A florist to provide flowers for our open homes and settlement gifts, local craft distilleries and wineries for bottles of alcohol, for events and gifts, restaurant gift vouchers, etc. We always make their brand front and centre if they provide us with anything, including their business cards and or flyers. That's awesome. Great way to develop partnerships. Forging those relationships, he goes on to say, also means that we are able to create an informal referral network, making it a truly win-win for everyone. Great idea, Dan. He just finishes by saying, I wanted to urge small business owners to look after each other, couldn't agree more, and work together for the benefit of both their businesses and customers, and be creative about how they do it. It's possible to make a big impact on someone else's business for just a few hours of your or your staff's time that is still beneficial to your business as well. Dan, you are thinking, mate. You are listening, you're taking action, and as a result, you're winning, not only for you, the business that you're working for, but on the Monster Prize Draw. Thanks, buddy. You win a $50 voucher for the beach people. Get around him, mate. A full range of Liars non-alcoholic spirits, that's valued at over $500. A $50 Sendle voucher, $100 worth of Tradies undies, $50 of Santon Able PJs, $75 City Larder voucher, a My DNA test kit, that's worth $99, $75 to spend at snottynoses.com. Hope you've got a young kid or a runny nose. Promotion on this show, which you just got, and a backlink in the show notes, which Google love. Well done, Dan. Everyone else, just send me an email, tim@timreid.com.au. Tell me one idea that you've implemented by listening to this show and what impact it's had on your business. Keep it to 100 words. I have a very short attention span. Dan went longer. That's okay. I'll deal with it. If I read it out on air, you win. Now, I've been getting a number of questions being sent to me from you beautiful, beautiful listeners. They're piling up, so I thought I'd start to tackle them in upcoming episodes. This one is from Stuart Dudeen of alchemywines.com, ALKIMI wines.com. Stu says, hey, Timbo, I'm looking to get out on my own and lease a facility to make my wine. At the moment, I have a pretty good arrangement where I pay to produce my wine by volume. If I lease my own facility, I'm taking a big jump in expenses. The issue is I currently can't justify the jump in my head, nor can my sales. I'm prepared to go all in, but I'm tossing up whether it's a good idea. I was listening to one of your episodes tonight and wondered if you've interviewed someone who took the plunge and trusted themselves to make it work. Thanks heaps, Stuart. Well, Stu, it sounds like you're ready to go, mate. It sounds like you are just looking for the courage. Now, cash flow is everything, so my advice says to you is, dependent on you can still put food on the table and you're not going to starve yourself and or your family, then it's, it sounds like, you're ready in your head. And I think so much of marketing and business is mindset. All the other ducks can line up in terms of logistics and equipment, plant and equipment, all that stuff. But you've got to be 110% comfortable in your head. So my answer to your question is 3 episodes come to mind, Stu. I'll put these links in the show note over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/464. But the interview I did with Bali entrepreneur Janet Deneef, she does not plan. She just goes for it. She had a bit of financial backing, albeit, but she is one of those entrepreneurs who feels the idea and has a crack. That was episode 447. Another episode is with Philip Cooch, who is the donut entrepreneur. We all love donuts. Phil had no choice but to go all in because his old man got sick. His old man bought a bakery before it opened, got sick, and Philip had to take over. Now, Philip was studying full-time, right? And he's trying to get a business off the ground in the bakery. A very, very inspiring episode. That's episode 441. And the other one is with roast. I loved this interview with roast chicken entrepreneur Wally Corley. That was episode 384. A bit of a mind-blowing story. He was sitting around his parents' kitchen table one Christmas Day in tears as his parents told him that they'd have to close the second-generation roast chicken shop. Wally said, you're not going to close it. I'll stop eating all the profits, which he was doing, and subsequently went off and went all in, basically. So there's 3 great episodes there. As I said, I'll put a link in the show notes to them, Stu. At the end of the day, Stu, you can do all the planning in the world, and maybe that's a good thing. Probably is. But I don't like planning. If you're passionate about your product, love what you do, and have a clear vision for the future of it, then I suggest giving some serious consideration to leaning in and having a red-hot crack. Well, that almost wraps up. In fact, does wrap up episode 464 of the award-winning Small Business Big Marketing Show, thanks to American Express. Check out Amex's very sweet range of business cards by searching Amex Business. Don't forget there's an entire back catalogue of interviews over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, where you can also buy my marketing book, The Boomerang Effect. If you love the show, please push stop now and ring like 5 small business owners that you know and just coach them through how to subscribe to a podcast, like step by step. I would really appreciate you doing that. We've got to build this audience team. It's builds every week, which is kind of cool when I look at my analytics. But I would like it to grow even more, and I need your help to do that. That's what partnerships are all about. Until next week, I'm Timbo Reid. Thanks for tuning in. May your marketing be the absolute best marketing. Bye for now.